A couple of weeks ago, I turned 30, and after an existential crisis or two, and the crushing realization that I'll probably never become an elite footballer, I got thinking about some of the most life-changing things that I've learned about photography that I could have done with knowing about 10 years ago. And yeah, in 2015, I probably could have done with buying about 100 Contax T2s and as many rolls of Portra 400 as I could fit in my parents' fridge. But this isn't that video. Over the last 10 years, I've made photo books, I've sold my work to brands, and I've learned about my identity as a photographer. But it's only really felt like it's fallen into place over the last couple of years. Up until then, I feel like I was kind of blindly trying to figure out my way through the process and usually getting pretty upset along the way. So rather than carry on talking a load of shit, I'm going to get right to some of the most important things that I wish I could tell my 20-year-old self. And I'm going to start with something that I think is really hard for a lot of us to deal with, especially me. I have a kind of weird background. I had pretty severe anxiety growing up, and I hardly went to school, and I found learning really difficult unless it was something that I was really interested in. But I guess because of that, I never really learned that failure was a positive part of the process of learning. And it actually wasn't until I started to make this channel that I started to embrace failure as a necessary part of the process rather than something to be scared of and to feel like you're a bad person because of it. Like, before, I would try things and then they wouldn't work out, and then I would feel bad about myself and maybe lose motivation, and then I would try something else and then that wouldn't work out, and a bit of a vicious cycle. But then when I started YouTube, I took a course and they were basically saying you're probably going to have to make like 50 to 100 videos before you start getting anywhere. And that's so much time and so much effort. But having other people there to say, this is how it works, and like failing is a positive part of that process, really helped me. I know what you're thinking. I'm a photographer. I don't want to be a YouTuber. What's it got to do with me? Well, it's so related to the rest of life, and especially photography. If you're trying to get anywhere in photography, you're going to fail a lot. I've tried so many ways of becoming a better photographer or trying to make a living as a photographer, and the vast majority of them failed, and it doesn't make me a bad person, or it doesn't mean that I am a failure. All of those things have accumulated to, build up my understanding of myself, built up my understanding of photography and what works and what doesn't work. They've all kind of made me who I am as a photographer today. So embrace failure as a natural part of the process. No one gets to success without failure. And this leads me on to something else that just seemed impossible in my early 20s. I don't know about you, but I've always had this sense that I need to blow up in a few weeks, or I need to make something work really fast, or I was going to quit my job and try and go freelance straight away. And because of that, I'd put loads of pressure on myself and I'd have super high expectations. And when that inevitably didn't work out, then I'd be crushed and I'd lose loads of motivation. But probably like 3 years ago or so, I completely switched to being a much more long-term thinker. I would create long-term goals, and then I would create kind of short-term milestones and like achievable ways of getting there along the way. And it completely changed my life. Obviously, everyone has different goals in photography, and not everyone wants to make a living from photography. But I think these kinds of short-term idealist expectations are pretty universal for most creatives. Maybe if I do this, I'll get noticed by some big editorial, or maybe if I get this camera, I'll become the photographer that I should be. But honestly, the biggest thing for me was to create long-term goals and break them down into small steps that were all achievable and doable. Like, one of my biggest goals in the last few years was building this YouTube channel, and it took 1 year to reach my first 1,000 subscribers. And that was hard, and it made me a little bit down sometimes because it took so long. But if I had a short-term mindset and I thought, oh, I've got to get 100,000 subscribers in the first year, I'd have literally quit as soon as I started, because it is just so hard and so slow initially. Fortunately, I knew that it was all part of the process and all part of my learning process, that I needed to get better over time and keep making videos and learning more about, what kind of videos I wanted to make and all sorts. Whatever your goals are, whether you want to make a photo book or you want to get in with the big names in photography, look at it as a long-term process. I break things down into multiple years, and then I start to break them down into quarters of the year and think, okay, if this is where I want to be in 2 years' time or 3 years' time, what steps do I have to do now in order to get there by then? And I know it sounds pretty grind set, but someone said basically, we overestimate what we can achieve in a short space of time, but we really underestimate what we can achieve in a long space of time. And this leads me on to something that I really wish I understood way back. But first, let me talk about my free newsletter, where I share insights about how I completely revived my photography. If you sign up now, then you'll get a free download with 4 tips that completely changed the game for me. And in the future, you'll get emails that are packed full of useful information and just things that I've learned along the way. So if you fancy that, then click the link below, sign up. It's chill, you won't get spammed, you'll just get nice emails sometimes from me. Anyway, back to the good stuff. And I don't know about you, but I feel like in my early 20s, the power of social media was really sold to me. It really felt like if you go on social media, if you put your stuff out there, then you're going to get a job, you're going to get some sort of photo job, or someone's going to come to you, they're going to want to buy your stuff or something like that. And that's kind of bullshit. Instead, I really wish that from day one, I was focusing on making real connections with real people. And to make this point, I'm going to tell a real quick story that is not about photography. When I first moved to Manchester, I was looking for a job. And you know what it's like, endless hours scrolling on Indeed, considering whether you could become a bus driver or a language therapist or something mad like that. Well, I came across a job that I actually probably could do, which was at an outdoors shop in town. I applied for it online, but rather than just doing that and probably not hearing back from them, I also went to the store, found the manager and spoke to him. And because of that, I got an interview. I took the interview, it was good. I didn't get the job. There was someone that was way more qualified than me. But the manager actually told me like 70 people applied for this, and I was the only person that came into the store and actually spoke to them, and that's why I got the interview. If I had just applied through Indeed, I would never have even got a chance. And you might be thinking, well, you didn't get the job, what does it matter? The point is, I got an opportunity. I got the chance to potentially get the job, rather than just sending an application and not hearing anything back for them, because I did the same thing that 70 other people did. And to me, this just shows how insanely valuable making real human connections is. The internet these days is really shit. And if you're applying for jobs or you're trying to get photography work, then what actually sets you apart from anyone else? Of course, you should still have an online presence. But what I'm saying is that real relationships are insanely valuable. All the real relationships that you build with people are usually mutually beneficial, and they're built on trust and that person actually knowing you. If you haven't already, try to get to know people in your local photo bookshops or your local lab. go to exhibition openings, go to photo walks, really try to get to know your community. I also sometimes just go into town, go around the nice local shops and just try to get to know the people working in the shops. It's just nice to feel that sense of community, even if they don't need you to do any work for them. It's nice to just chat with someone sometimes. It's nice to just feel like you know people around. And don't just do it because it benefits you. Do it because it is also really nice to feel like you're a part of the community, to feel like you know people, to feel like you can talk to them about the same struggles that you're going through with your photography, or, you know, they might tell you about an exhibition that you didn't know about. They might tell you about an opportunity that you didn't know about. They might tell you about, you know, how people get government grants or things like that. Obviously, this was kind of the way everything used to work. And I think, if I'm honest, it's the most valuable way for it to still work. I think we've just been sold this idea that it's not. And finally, as I was saying earlier, I used to have quite a lot of bad anxiety. I still get that from time to time. And I think for us creatives, it's usually that our creative outlet is a way, or one of the ways, for managing anxiety or mental health. But what I've noticed about us as photographers is that a lot of us don't have a ton of confidence, but we also have kind of a lot of vulnerability as well. And trust me, that was me. And also trust me, that confidence does build up over the years, and it comes from all kinds of places. I mean, first of all, you just get better as a photographer. You become more confident in what you're actually doing. I mean, the best way that you can do this is to do shoots that are similar to what you want to do. Do shoots for free, do shoots with friends, get confident in the thing that you actually want to do, that you actually want to get paid for in the future, or whatever kind of work you want to do. Even if it's documentary work and you're not confident in taking people's portraits, take them with your family, take them with your friends first. This way you can make the mistakes and get better and better over time, and you'll just be way more confident with your camera and with your composition and with the lighting already. I also noticed that my level of confidence changed from different walks of life as well. Like, I basically had my own vintage clothing business from the age of 17, so I didn't work for like anyone else. I had a few little jobs before that, but I didn't really work for anyone else until like, I don't know, 23. And I could never see myself working in a bar or an office. I just thought I would be too anxious. This wouldn't work for me. And then one day I ended up working in a bar. And I worked in a bar for 2 years. And over that time, I became so much more confident with talking to people and talking to people from different walks of life and being able to make a connection with people as soon as they walk in. And all of the jobs, whether I've liked them or not, over the years have given me different levels of confidence in different ways, just by doing them, just because I had to be there. So if you feel like you're not a very confident person now, and you're still in your early 20s, let's say, then that confidence does grow over time. You might not become the most confident person in the world, but you should become more confident over time. Let's say you're doing all kinds of different jobs, you're interacting with different people. You do just get taken out of your comfort zone over time, and then that comfort zone starts to go up a few steps just year on year. And I think this confidence that you gain from normal life adds to you as a photographer. If you're more comfortable in your own skin, you're more able to speak to people, then you will be a better photographer. You'll be able to deal with people differently. You might be able to deal with the anxiety of shooting in public more easily. You might be able to understand people that you want to photograph better. You might be able to understand what you actually want to achieve more. And I know I said that that was the last one, but I have got something else for you. And I do think it is one of the most important things that I wish I understood all those years ago. Stop comparing yourself to rich photographers on the internet. I really wish I'd understood this 10 years ago. When you see successful people online, photographers or, people maybe on YouTube, in the YouTube space that are photographers, you have no idea what their upbringing was, how rich their parents are, how they can afford to be living in one of the most expensive cities in the world. You just don't know. And that is absolutely not to diss those people at all. It's just that if you're a working class kid in a small town in England, your path will look so dramatically different to those people that you look up to. And it's not to say that you can't achieve the things that they have achieved. It's just that to do that will be a hell of a lot harder and will look way different to how they did it. And I think really the most important thing with this point is that if you have that awareness, then that's great, because then you're not holding yourself to the same standard, because, that person may have literally just walked into that situation that they're in. You don't know. Often it's who they know, they're in the right location. If you are not comparing yourself to them, you're comparing yourself to yourself and your peers, the people around you, then you'll have a much healthier relationship with your understanding of your career path or your personal growth as a photographer. At 23 or so, I just literally wanted to be a street photographer and just go to New York and just be a photographer. That was it. But the truth is, it just wasn't going to be possible for me. I could not afford to do that. And it's just not how it was going to work. Look at who you are. Look at where you're at. Look at your situation. And take inspiration from the people that are actually around you or that actually share a similar life situation to you. And remember, there are so many really interesting stories to tell right from your doorstep. You don't necessarily have to go to the biggest city or whatever. You can create incredible projects right where you are. And also, I think that photographing in less photographable places, in more boring places, ultimately makes you a better photographer, because you have to be much more resourceful and much more you have to put more effort into getting a good composition. So yeah, I hope this helped, and I really wish I just knew all this stuff before, because it took a while to understand a lot of this stuff. It's okay hearing it, but really understanding it is maybe a bit different. And thanks a lot. If you haven't already subscribed, then you should consider doing so, because it's the coolest thing that you can do. That's absolutely free. It's a cool way of supporting my channel, and I just really appreciate it when people do that. And thanks. Take care. Maybe go out for some Vietnamese food tonight, or find the ugliest dog you can and take a picture of it. Or, swear at another Tesla driver. Whatever you want. Take care.